All right, deep divers, ready to dive in. Today, we're going to be tackling legal and criminal justice research.
Sounds intense.
It can be, but we've got this study guide to help us navigate it all. Think of it as our roadmap for this deep dive.
I like it. A roadmap through the world of legal research.
Exactly. So this guide jumps right into the deep end asking, what is research?
Getting right to the heart of it.
It makes me wonder, is it really as simple as just, Googling something? Or is there more to it when we're talking about legal research?
Yeah, you've hit on something important there. It's definitely more than a quick Google search. It's a process of critical inquiry, really digging into legal sources.
Like what kind of sources?
Statutes, case law, all those juicy legal documents. We analyze them, interpret them, and try to really understand what they mean.
So it's not just about finding information. It's about, really understanding it in a deeper way.
Exactly. It's about expanding our knowledge of the law and how it works in the real world.
Okay, I'm starting to get the picture. But why should we, the listeners, care about all this? What's the real benefit of getting good at legal research?
Well, think of it this way. Mastering legal research. It's like having a superpower in the legal world.
Ooh, I like that.
Right. You can navigate those complex legal issues, build strong arguments, and really contribute to legal discussions with confidence.
So it's about empowerment, really being able to hold your own in the legal arena.
Absolutely. Plus, you'll stay up to date with all the latest legal developments.
And maybe even publish your own research someday.
Exactly. The possibilities are endless.
All right, I'm sold. Now, this study guide jumps into different types of research. It starts with scientific and non-scientific research.
Interesting. So are we breaking out the lab coats for this deep dive?
Maybe not literally, but I'm curious. What makes legal research scientific?
Well, scientific research in law, it's all about using a structured, logical approach. Think carefully gathering evidence, analyzing data.
So it's not just about opinions or gut feelings.
Not quite. We're looking for verifiable, measurable conclusions based on solid evidence.
Makes sense. And what about non-scientific research? Is that where, anecdotes and personal experiences come in?
You could say that. While non-scientific research can be insightful, it doesn't always have the same rigor and verifiable results as scientific research.
So we need to be careful about the sources and conclusions.
Exactly. It's all about being discerning.
Got it. Now let's talk methods. What are the go-to tools for a legal researcher?
In the legal world, documents, documents, documents.
Oh, so it's a lot of reading.
Definitely a lot of reading. Statutes, case law, legal journals. These are our bread and butter.
So we need to learn how to analyze all that information effectively.
You got it. It's like learning a new language, the language of law.
And speaking of languages, what about referencing? I always get a little lost with all those footnotes.
I hear you, but referencing is super important.
Why is that?
Well, first off, it's about giving credit where credit is due. Acknowledging the authors and thinkers whose work you're building on.
Right, so it's an ethical thing.
Exactly. But it also helps you demonstrate the depth of your research and build credibility for your own arguments.
Okay, so it's both ethical and practical.
Precisely.
This study guide then takes us into document-based research. It seems pretty self-explanatory. Is it really just about reading a lot of legal documents?
Well, it's definitely document heavy, but there's a strategic approach involved. It's not just passive reading.
So what's the strategy?
It's like going on a treasure hunt through legal history. You're looking for those key precedents, analyzing arguments, finding the gaps in existing knowledge.
Sounds kind of exciting, actually.
Yeah.
But why should we prioritize this approach? What makes it so special?
Well, imagine being able to trace the development of a legal concept over time, seeing how it's evolved and been shaped by different forces.
So we're not just looking at the law as it is now, but also understanding its history.
Exactly. And by identifying gaps in existing knowledge, we can even contribute to the evolution of legal thought.
That's pretty cool.
Oh.
All right, let's get practical. What are the essential steps in conducting document-based research?
The study guide breaks it down into 3 stages: planning, conducting, and reporting.
Okay, so it's a structured process.
Definitely. Each stage has its own set of considerations and techniques. We'll unpack those in detail as we go along.
Sounds good. So let's start with planning. Any tips for staying focused when you're surrounded by mountains of legal documents?
Absolutely. The study guide recommends using the FIA approach.
FIA.
Yep. Stands for facts, issues, and applicable law. It's a simple but powerful framework that'll help you stay on track throughout your research.
Okay, I'll try to remember that. So first up, we've got fact-finding. Seems straightforward, but how do we know which facts are actually important in a legal context?
That's where critical thinking comes in. You need to sift through the information, separate the legally significant facts from the less relevant ones.
So, honing our legal detective skills.
You got it.
All right, let's say we've got our facts straight. Time to dive into those dense legal texts. Any advice for navigating those? They can be pretty overwhelming.
Definitely. Active reading is key. Highlight those important passages, take thorough notes, and ask yourself questions as you go along.
Questions like what?
Like, what's the main argument here? How does this connect to my research question? What are the strengths and weaknesses of this legal reasoning?
So it's about being engaged with the material, not just passively absorbing it.
Exactly. It's about actively thinking and making connections.
Now, the study guide emphasizes the importance of analyzing and synthesizing information. What does that mean in practice?
Well, it's not enough to just gather information. You need to make sense of it. Analyzing and synthesizing is about identifying patterns, drawing connections, spotting contradictions.
So like putting the pieces of the puzzle together.
Exactly. You're constructing a coherent narrative from all the fragments of information you gather.
Right. I can see how that's important. And finally, we have the reporting stage, the grand finale of our research.
Right. Time to share those findings with the world.
Any tips for crafting a legal report that really shines?
Clarity and structure are key. The study guide recommends using the IRAC method.
IRAC.
It stands for Issue, Rule, Application, and Conclusion. It's a framework that helps you present your legal analysis in a clear, logical, and persuasive way.
Okay, IRAC. Got it. Now let's switch gears and explore empirical research.
Sounds good. Time to get out of the library and into the real world. Well, maybe not literally into the real world, but yeah, we're shifting gears from those legal documents to real-world data.
So we're testing out those theories we've been reading about.
Exactly. Empirical research in law, it's all about gathering data from the field.
Okay, so like what? Interviewing people, going to courtrooms.
You got it. Think surveys, interviews, observations. We're trying to understand how the law actually plays out in people's lives.
So putting those legal principles to the test in the real world. I like it. The study guide mentions different types of empirical research: descriptive, exploratory, explanatory, and evaluation research.
Yeah, each one gives us a different way to look at legal issues.
Let's break those down. What's descriptive research all about? Is it like describing what the law says?
It's more like painting a picture of a specific legal issue using data. You're answering questions like what, where, and when.
So it's about providing context, setting the scene.
Exactly. You're getting a sense of the trends and patterns related to a particular legal issue.
Okay, I get it. And what about exploratory research? Is that where things get a little more adventurous?
Definitely. Exploratory research is all about venturing into uncharted territory.
Ooh, I like that. So we're like legal explorers.
Exactly. You're exploring an issue we don't know much about, gathering those initial insights, maybe coming up with new hypotheses.
So it's like the first step, laying the groundwork for further research.
Precisely. Now, explanatory research takes things a step further.
How so?
Well, if exploratory research is about asking what, explanatory research is all about asking why.
So we're digging deeper, trying to understand the reasons behind things.
Exactly. We're trying to figure out cause and effect relationships, the complex factors that shape legal outcomes.
Like untangling those legal knots.
I like that.
Yeah.
And finally, there's evaluation research.
Okay, what's that one all about?
Evaluation research is all about assessing effectiveness. It helps us figure out if a particular law or policy is actually working the way it's supposed to.
So it's about accountability, making sure the legal system is serving its purpose.
Exactly. We're measuring the impact of legal changes, seeing if they're making a real difference in people's lives.
This is all so fascinating. But the study guide also stresses the importance of being methodical with empirical research.
Oh, absolutely. Having a solid approach is crucial for getting reliable results.
So how do we make sure our research is rigorous and trustworthy?
Well, the document lays out 5 main steps for conducting empirical research. First, you got to identify the research problem. What are we trying to understand?
Right, got to start with a clear question. What's next?
Then we design the study, figuring out the best way to collect data.
So choosing the right tools for the job.
Exactly. Next comes the actual data collection, making sure it's systematic and unbiased.
Okay, so we're being careful and objective in how we gather information.
Yep. Then comes the fun part, analyzing all that data we've collected.
Trying to find those hidden patterns and insights.
You got it. And finally, we draw our conclusions, connecting those findings back to the original research problem.
So it's a cyclical process.
Yeah.
From question to conclusion and maybe back to new questions.
Exactly. It's a continuous journey of exploration and discovery.
I love that. Now, let's move on to Study Unit 4, which is all about accessing information. Where do we even begin to find all those valuable legal resources?
Well, luckily, we live in a digital age where we've got a ton of information at our fingertips.
True, but it can be overwhelming.
I hear you. That's why the study guide introduces us to some essential online research databases. Jutastat, MyLexisNexis, SFILI. These are like gold mines for legal research.
Wow, it sounds like having a whole law library in your pocket.
Pretty much. You can access statutes, case law, legal journals, all with a few clicks.
That's incredible. But what about those traditional law libraries with all those towering bookshelves? Are those still relevant in today's world?
Absolutely. Those libraries offer a different kind of research experience.
How so?
Well, they often house specialized collections, rare books, things you might not find online.
So they're like hidden treasure troves.
Exactly. Plus, you can't beat the focused atmosphere of a library for those deep dive research sessions.
I totally agree. Now, the study guide circles back to referencing again. Why is it so important, even in empirical research?
Referencing is crucial, no matter what type of research you're doing. It's all about academic integrity.
So giving credit where it's due, avoiding plagiarism.
Exactly. It's about being honest and transparent in your work.
So what are some of the referencing styles used in legal research?
The study guide mentions two popular systems, Ascola and Blue Book.
Okay, I've heard of those. But they always seem so complicated.
They can be a bit tricky, but don't worry, we'll break them down later on.
Phew, good to know. Now, Study Unit 5 takes us into the world of transformative constitutionalism. It sounds pretty intense.
It is. It's a powerful concept, really unique to South Africa.
So what's it all about?
Well, transformative constitutionalism sees the law as a tool for social change. It's about interpreting and applying the law in a way that promotes justice and equality.
So it's not just about following the rules, it's about using the law to make society better.
Exactly. It's about realizing the transformative potential of the Constitution.
I see. And how does this concept influence legal research?
It encourages researchers to think critically about the law, to consider its social and historical context.
So we're not just looking at the law in isolation, but understanding its impact on society.
Precisely. And we're also looking for ways to use research to advocate for positive change.
Now, that's what I call impactful research.
Yeah.
Now, the study guide also talks about African research methodologies and the concept of Ubuntu.
Ah, yes. Ubuntu is a beautiful concept. It emphasizes community, interconnectedness, and a holistic understanding of humanity.
So it's about recognizing that we're all connected and that our actions affect each other.
Exactly. And it's a valuable lens to bring to legal research, considering the well-being of the entire community.
So we're not just focusing on individual rights, but on the collective good.
Precisely. Now, Study Unit 6 takes us into the realm of ethics in research. It's a reminder that even in the world of research, ethics matter.
So what are some of the key ethical considerations that legal researchers need to keep in mind?
The study guide highlights some important principles, like informed consent. We need to make sure participants understand what the research is about before they agree to be involved.
Right, so no sneaky research tactics.
Definitely not. And confidentiality is also crucial. We got to protect the identities and personal information of our participants.
Makes sense. People need to feel safe sharing their experiences.
Absolutely. And we always need to be mindful of potential harm. Our research should never put anyone at risk.
So it's about balancing the pursuit of knowledge with the well-being of the people involved.
Exactly. Ethical considerations need to be woven into every aspect of the research process.
Now, the study guide ends with a warning about plagiarism.
Ah, yes. The big no-no in the research world.
So what exactly is plagiarism?
Basically, it's presenting someone else's work or ideas as your own without giving them credit.
So it's about intellectual honesty and giving credit where credit is due.
Precisely.
What are some tips for avoiding plagiarism?
Well, the document emphasizes good note-taking skills, learning how to paraphrase effectively, and mastering those citations.
So it's all about being organized and transparent with our sources.
You got it. Plagiarism is a serious offense, and we want to make sure our research is ethical and credible.
Absolutely. So we've journeyed through this study guide, exploring different research approaches, tools, and even ethical considerations. It's been quite a deep dive. What are some key takeaways for our listeners? What do we want them to remember from all of this?
Well, I think one of the biggest takeaways is that legal research is a journey of discovery. It's about asking those thought-provoking questions, really digging deep and expanding our understanding of how the law impacts our world.
Yeah, it's about embracing that curiosity and not just settling for surface level answers.
Exactly. It's about going beyond just finding information to really understanding its complexities and nuances.
So we're not just passively absorbing information, we're actively engaging with it, questioning it, and analyzing it.
Precisely. And another crucial takeaway is that there's a method to this madness. Whether you're diving into those legal documents or conducting hands-on research, having a solid approach and using the right tools makes all the difference.
Right, having a roadmap like this study guide can help us navigate the research process more effectively.
Absolutely. And I can't stress enough the importance of ethics in research. We need to conduct our work with integrity, respecting everyone involved, and giving credit where it's due. Those are non-negotiables.
It's a good reminder that ethics are not an afterthought, but an integral part of the research process.
Exactly. It's about ensuring our research is not only insightful and informative, but also ethically sound, contributing to a better understanding of law and criminal justice.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And with that, deep divers, we've reached the end of our exploration of legal and criminal justice research methodology. We've covered a lot of ground, from the foundations of research to the importance of ethical considerations.
It's been quite a journey, hasn't it? Unpacking all the different approaches and tools that legal professionals use to navigate the complex world of law.
And remember, deep divers, this is just the beginning. Armed with the knowledge from this deep dive and the insights from this study guide, you're ready to embark on your own research adventures.
So go out there, explore, ask those burning questions, and never stop learning.
Happy researching, everyone.